Good morning. Welcome to this week's edition of Delta Media Group's Tech Tuesday. My name is Harley and I will be your host this morning. The last couple of weeks have been complicated weeks for our Tech Tuesday show. We've gone over complicated topics. So today I'm going to take it back to the fundamentals. We're going to simplify matters a little bit, do something nice and easy, and probably a reasonably short video. So, all right, so we'll just go ahead and go onto my computer here, and you can see this is the home page of my demo site. So what I'm going to go over is leads, just the basic leads, how they get into your website, and then once they get there, how you go ahead and process them. I'll also go over how leads can come in as broadcast leads too. So first off, a lead can come in through your agent site in three primary ways. Now there are some custom forms and things we've done before that get leads into your site in different ways. Or we can parse leads in from third parties, like for example, if you have leads coming in through your Zillow account or your Realtor.com account, we could have those leads parse into our system automatically too. But those are all part of a separate thing. So for now, we'll just go over the stuff that it can come in through your agent website. So first off, someone can just go up here. They can click your Contact Me link wherever you have it on your site, and they can fill out your contact form, and that'll generate a lead. That'll generate an email request, is the way the system kind of differentiates it, and that'll pop up in your DeltaNet. You'll be able to see their contact information and whatever they typed, and respond to them either via email or via phone number if they provided one, and that'll process the lead. The next is they can make a request on a property. So I'll just go down here and pick something. How about, what did I pick? There we are. I picked Ohio State Stadium, the Horseshoe. So as we look down this page, and these pages can look a little bit different depending on whether your company's on the responsive platform or not, or which detail template they're using. Sometimes you can use custom detail page templates, so it might look a little bit different detail page-wise, but there will always be a form that allows someone to request a showing or just to ask a question about that property. So if we click Ask a Question, this works in essentially the same way as making a request through your contact form would. The only difference is this request will be associated with this property. So you'll be able to see the property information along with their contact information and whatever comments they put down here at the bottom. If we go over to Request Showing, this also works essentially the same way, but with this, it'll show up as a showing request in the DeltaNet, and you'll also be able to see the time that they request a showing to be. Now, these times aren't set in stone, and the system lets the customer know that, both on the web page and through an autoresponder, but it lets them suggest a time that'll be good for them. So I'll go ahead and say, what's a good lead for today? How about it's not going to like that. The system has built-in protocols that will determine if an email address can't be valid sometimes. It doesn't catch all of them, but it catches a lot of them. So there's a lot of spam that doesn't come through because of that. I did set up a test account though, so let's go with that. And we'll say September 21st, 2016. 8 a.m. is too early for me. Let's try 9. No, 10. There we go. That moves us on to the next screen. And the newer responsive platform, this interface is a little bit different. It'll submit the showing request right away instead of taking you to the second screen where you finish it out. So we'll say test showing request. All our information here. We'll say no. We'll see if I type that in right. I did. Look at me. So there we are. We just created a lead. Any second now, my phone will buzz letting me know that I have an email, or should. Also, when the customer makes the lead, it creates a Home Finder account for them. Whether they make a showing request or an email request, no matter what they do, it creates a Home Finder or a portfolio account for them on your website so they can log in and save searches and save properties to that. And you'll see up here that when I put through that lead, it automatically logged me into that account. And now if I was a customer, every time I came back to the site, it would automatically log me into my account so that I could just go ahead and save listings, save properties. I wouldn't have to remember a password or log in or any of that. So I'll log out for now. We'll take a look. So here in the DeltaNet, I'm just at my regular login page. And we'll refresh the page and see if my lead came in. Now it sorts leads based on age. So I have, because I use this as a demo site, I have a bunch of really old leads in here just for testing processing like this. We'll see 145 days is the newest one, so it looks like my test lead did not come through for some reason. So we'll go back to leads and contacts. My test lead clearly did not show up. Well, system cannot process your request at this time. All right, well, as far as I know, everything's working fine, but the demo site gets twitchy sometimes. So, long story short, had that submitted, it would have showed up a showing request in the DeltaNet. So there are 3 ways you can go about processing those requests. First is when you first log in, you're on this welcome page. You could see all of your unprocessed leads right away. We put them up front and center, so you can just click on anyone to process them. So let me go ahead and look through these. How about, well, here's an email request on a property. So it says email request. If it were a showing request, it would actually say showing request up at the top. And we'll click on process lead. And there we are. So it shows us all the property information up at the top. Customer's name and email address. Their email address is automatically built in here, so you don't actually see their email address until you process the lead. If they left a phone number, you can get their phone number. And by doing so, the system will assume that you then called the customer, so it'll mark the lead as processed. You can mark it as processed manually. This is just in case you got a hold of the customer through some other means outside of the DeltaNet. Maybe you already had their number, maybe they were an existing customer, something like that. And then the most common way to process a lead would be to just reply with an email. So we'll say, thank you for requesting information on this property. It's a great house. It looks like a great house, right? And then if we click on send, it sends an email out to that customer. And marks the lead as processed, so they no longer show up in your processed lead list. But then you can still get back to them through your customer center. So if I wanted to come back here and find that customer again, I could just type their name in, and there they are. All right, so that is the one way to process leads. Now number 2 is, instead of processing them directly through your welcome screen here, you can just go up to customers and click on Customer Center. And you can see all your leads up here to process as well. And then other than that, this works exactly the same way. You click on the lead, and you can either get the phone number if they left one, mark it as processed, or send an email, and that'll process the lead also. Processing the lead just means that the system now knows that you reached out to the customer, that you got a hold of the customer somehow. Now, the last way to process a lead is through this Leads and Contacts tab. Now, if you have the Customer Center, then you're probably not going to do that. So if you're on the standard or the upgrade package, you're probably just going to do everything either on your welcome page or under your Customer Center here. But if you are have a basic IDX page, then you'll only have access to this Leads and Contacts tab here. So if you go up to Leads and Contacts or down to Leads, or if you just click over here, this red number indicates that you have unprocessed leads, and the number shows how many. So if we click over there or go to Leads and Contacts and down to Leads, it opens up our new Leads page. From here, if we want to process any lead, we can see basically the same information. Here we are. This one was a showing request. So if we click to View Lead or Respond, we have essentially the same options. This one didn't leave a phone number, so we can't retrieve a phone number and process it that way. But we could still send an email, or manually mark it as processed. And it still shows the property information down here. So it's just a little bit different look, a little bit different interface, but it accomplishes the same thing, and it basically does it in all of the same ways. So there you are. So now, the last thing I'll mention is you can get leads through your own customer website or your own agent website. So that's, any lead that comes in through your agent website usually is going to be brought or assigned to you, and then this is how you'll deal with it. But if you are under the umbrella of a company, there are leads that might come in through the company website. They would come in through the company website in the same way that they come in through your own agent website. So the company site has its own contact form and its own property detail pages. So if somebody goes to the company site and requests a showing on one of your listings, for example, maybe your company's settings will have that lead broadcast to you. If it does, that'll assign it to you and you'll get it in the same way. The main difference between leads that might come from the company is if a lead comes in on just an IDX listing, just a non-company listing, and it's a brand new lead, so it's not somebody that's already assigned to a agent, that lead could go into a broadcast system, in which case it will send out to a number of agents, and then the first one that accepts that broadcast lead is usually the one that has it assigned to them, the one that receives it and then works with that customer from that point forward. So if you receive a broadcast lead, you'll actually get an email, and you can set it up to get a text message notification also, that'll have a link on it that just says, a lead has come in through the website and we're giving you an opportunity to work on this customer. Click here to log into the DeltaNet. If you click there, it'll take you to, let me see if I can, here we are. In fact, here's what the email looks like. So you should get an email that looks similar to this. Do not reply to this message directly, and click here to log into the DeltaNet. So if I click here, it takes us to this page. Now it should, if you're already logged into the DeltaNet on that machine, it'll just take you straight to this page. If not, it'll take you to the login page, which you saw here. And if you click on the login page, you would just put in your username and password, and then it would take you to this page. Once you're here, you can just see just really basically what the customer is interested in, if they've had any comments, but you don't really see much for the customer information. You don't see their contact information right away. And then you can choose here whether to accept or decline the lead. If you decline the lead, the request goes away and you don't have to worry about it. If you accept it, if you are the first one to accept it, the lead becomes yours. If you're not the first one to accept it, it'll tell you that the lead's already been taken and that you were too late. So we'll click accept and see what happens. So there we go. I accepted the lead. I was the first one to accept it. So it took us straight to the lead processing page that we've already seen. So I can choose to process it by email. I can get their phone number. And because it's a new customer, I don't have an option to just mark it as processed. A new customer coming in from the company won't let you just mark it as processed. You have to actually get the phone number or send them an email. So thanks for your interest. But you don't spell interest with an E. Send email. That lead was marked as processed. Now it gives me the opportunity to set a to-do or like a reminder for that lead now, and by default this will be 2 weeks out, and in 2 weeks it'll just remind me to do a follow-up call with that customer. So I can choose to create to-do, and then it'll put it on my calendar, and this would be in my DeltaNet calendar, which you can sync with your an Apple Calendar or Google Calendar if you have one, and that's when it will remind me to contact them again. So there you go. There's the basics of how leads can come in and lead processing. So that pretty much covers it for this week. Now we'll have some more ideas for you here coming up over the next few weeks. Next week's kind of special because I'll be out of the office next week, so we will probably do a replay video. Right now I'm leaning toward customer reviews, but if anyone has any suggestions for a video they'd like to see again, or one that a subject they feel needs reiterated, go ahead and put it in the comments or send us an email. As always, if you have any questions or concerns, feel free to send us an email at support@deltagroup.com or give us a call, and we'll answer any questions you have. So thanks a lot, and I'll see you I won't see you next week. I'll see you the week after next week.